one of my, so to speak, rant videos. So just a forewarning for those of you guys that don't like them. But I have had a lot of requests to make this video in the past, and it just kind of seems like with all the activities going on and you know, a lot of other people commenting about this topic, might as well make a video now about it. So you know, first off, I really want to talk about, you know, just my views on the medical marijuana industry in general. You know, there's been a lot of talk about whether, you know, marijuana is a medicine or whether it's not, whether it's a drug. And you know, I'm not one of those people that really likes to hold a really strict definition of what people interpret as medicine, because we're all different, and some, you know, one thing, and everyone has their own particular tastes and their own resistance towards, you know, specific things. And you know, if something helps you feel better, then I can consider that, you know, if it's improving your well-being, then, you know, that's something that you should be able to have no restrictions, have access to. And you know, that can obviously be very broad, but I don't think that it's fair of our government to, you know, tell us what we should or should not be able to do. You know, I'm a very strict believer that as long as, you know, you're not really impeding you know, your own well-being or the well-beings of those, you know, close to you, or that you have to be, you know, around on a daily basis, like coworkers, things like that, then there should be no problem with it. And they try too hard to limit what people can and can't do beforehand, thinking that you know, it's going to be preventing things. But what it ultimately just does is it creates a market. And for the long time, you know, that's created this marijuana market. And you know, it's pretty unfortunate, you know, the way things kind of went down over the course of history, just leading to people completely bad-mouthing this plant, and ultimately for the gains of you know, all the other oil industries. And you know, without going into too much detail, you know, there's a lot of industries that profited off this plant being illegal. But ultimately, you know, as Americans, we all want it. And you know, at this point, the government obviously doesn't care whether we want it or not. And as a far stretch to get this plant somewhat legalized, you know, people went towards the medical marijuana, and it was basically always intended as a stepping stone towards legality. But I don't think it was ever meant to be the end solution of how marijuana is regulated, because anyone that's been in this industry knows that ultimately the marijuana that you get at dispensaries is not really regulated. I mean, unless you're at a place that has a very strict quality control and a very, you know, diverse selection of people bringing in product, they could be stocking the shelf with their own with their buddies' products just because that's what they want to do, not because that's necessarily what they think is the best medicine. And you know, that lack of quality control, I think, is ultimately what you know, doesn't allow any faith in this process. And the other part of it is that because this was only meant to be a stepping stone towards the legalization, you know, now it's to the point where it is being abused. And anyone that tries to tell you that 90% of the people that go into these dispensaries have no medical condition that deems the amount of pot that they smoke necessary. And I'm not trying to say that it's not a medicine, because I personally find a lot of benefit from smoking marijuana. I smoke pretty much 24/7. There's and if it's under my control, there's not a portion of my day that goes by where I'm pretty much not, you know, smoking. And I think that I get those benefits of it, but it also, to me, creates more of a spiritual benefit, because you know, one thing about growing that I learned is it just really opened my eyes to several things. And when you start looking into what you might be getting yourself into legality wise, and you start looking at the laws and the details, and you start finding out the true details of what our government is up to and who makes the money off this, and the reasons and points and circumstances at which brought us to where we are now. And it's really just opened my eyes. And I think that if it wasn't for that, I would have probably remained I guess what you could call it, a slave or a sheep my entire life. And I am so thankful for having my eyes open, because I can tell you right now that I would have been miserable. You know, I think it really took finding this plant to find something additional to give me enjoyment. At the same time, it also allows me to have ultimate control over the quantity and quality that I personally get to smoke, and allows me to help, you know, give back to other people that are looking to do the same. And I really think that in terms of the medical marijuana industry, we really do need to push for more legalization, just as a freedom general, because I do think that there is a very, very real possibility that if we continue down the medical marijuana movement path, it ultimately will lead us to having all marijuana products regulated by pharmaceutical companies, and it will not be in the form that we love today, in the plant matter, in the hash, the keef. That's not going to be those will still be outlawed, and it'll only be the regulated pharmaceutical versions if you really want it just to be for medicine only. And I think that people need to be able to have access to this without having to tell a doctor that they have migraines, or to tell a doctor, you know, that they've got trouble sleeping, whatever the case may be. And they should be able to have access to this, and they should be able to grow their own if they feel comfortable. But at the same time, I also feel that people, there should be a very real medical marijuana, network. I think that there are very, very, reasonable medical benefits to marijuana that people should have consultations with their doctors and point them in that path. If it's the people that are getting that daily relief, just the being able to eat your food every day and being able to wake up and walk around your house without feeling like shit from all the meds and everything that you're on. I think those people need to have that option, and I do think that whether it ultimately becomes in the pill form is more relevant, then that's definitely an option that people need to have. But I don't think that this plant version will ever ultimately be accepted in the way that we want, unless we push for full legalization. Just as a general note, anything that's pretty much consumed by smoking is not really going to be accepted as a medical item, just simply because any form of smoke can potentially damage your lungs, whether it's got nicotine or THC. It doesn't really matter. They just don't like that method of inhalation. So that pretty much covers how I feel about the medical marijuana industry in itself. And I suggest that any of you that haven't really taken the opportunity to look and just do an hour Google search. When you're bored, instead of watching videos one day on YouTube, spend it on Google and start looking up laws, start looking up cases. I highly suggest anyone that pays attention to some of the videos that I favorite, check out the Young Turks. Watch some of the videos that are bringing you news unbiased, whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, whether you're conservative, liberal, whatever the fuck you are. They always try to bring the facts to you as real as possible, and I think that they're one of the media outlets that helps really bring to light a lot of the shit that you will not see if you get all your information from TV. Because I know there are a lot of you that sit back, they don't make videos, they don't watch anything, and they just whatever they're told goes in one ear and it comes right back out their fingers on the internet. And it gets pretty disappointing to see how truly ignorant some people really are in this community. I know that as growers we're pretty closed off. We tend to kind of seclude ourselves just because of all the pressure that we're under. And it is unfortunate that is the case, but you guys really need to broaden your horizons and do a little bit of extra research and try to truly find out what's going on, because our country is headed downhill, and in my opinion it's headed downhill quick. And I think that in the future I'm going to be making another video kind of talking about my thoughts on our country and our economy and our government, and a lot of those other topics that I think are pretty relevant. It's obviously not growing related, but I think it definitely affects how you are going to live your life every day, and how, you know, us growers can really, they need to live their lives if you really want to be successful and you really ultimately want to survive in this country, because it's a dog-eat-dog world, and there's nobody there that's going to be willing to back you up. A lot of Americans kind of have this this just feeling that, you know, the government is always looking out for them, and that they will be there to help you if shit really hits the fan, and they won't, guys. I hate to break it to you, but they won't. And when you hear something on the news, you hear about a bill being put through, you hear about a war they're going to be going to, just know that whatever motive that they tell you on TV is why they're headed over there, that is not the real motive, or it's not the only motive. There's always an ulterior motive for anything, and it's a profit-based motive 99% of the time. And I highly suggest you guys do a little bit of research for yourself and try to see what is really being put forth. And if we continue down this path of medical marijuana is the answer, I think that the answer we're going to end up with is still a banned version of the plant. It's going to be very controlled, manufactured, and it's going to be in a pill form or some liquid form. And I think that we need to really start coming together, try to push for legalization. I'm not worried about what's going to happen if we go legalization. You know, money is not the only motivating factor in my life, and I think that either way it goes, you know, I'll figure out something that I can do. You know, this is not my only skill set, and I think that as a country we need it. There's a lot of hypocrites out there that like things the way they are, because that's how they can continue making every penny off of every dollar. And, you know, for those people, it ultimately just ends up hurting you more, because you will get fucked over in 10,000 other ways before you'll get arrested for pot that you don't realize that go on every single day. So that's pretty much all I got to say about this video, guys. As always, welcome your comments, and probably making a video here shortly, probably talking about some type of part 2 with just the country and government economic status and things like that. So any questions, let me know. Other than that, we'll see you next time, guys.